often I hear, oh, I can't talk to the end users, whether it's internal, if it's external, if it's a customer, if it's a vendor. No, they don't want to get involved. And I've yet to experience an end user, a customer, or a vendor that isn't thrilled to be asked.
Thanks so much for joining today on the never-ending climb for a stronger supply chain and procurement for companies running SAP. We have Alissa Sylvestre. Alissa, you've helped hundreds of thousands of enterprise software users unlock potential, and you've got a secret for us today around an often missed step. It's common sense, but it's so often missed. Can we start out with something that you've seen so many organizations skimp or skip on at the beginning of a project before it even starts? What are some of the things that we need to remind ourselves to do before projects even start to help ensure and ensure success?
This might sound really simple, Sean. I think that
Simple's good.
One of the basic things is really understanding the success criteria. So, and having alignment around that. So often clients are going into a project and they're like, how are you going to define success at the end of the day? So, and how are you going to measure it? Which I think is even more important. So it's not just about implementing a solution and then, letting it run out there. It's okay. What things are we going to do at the end of the day to measure whether this was successful?
It's like that Dilbert comic from years ago of somebody saying their accounting system is so bad you can manage randomly and claim success, right? You need to make sure you know what success is and know how you're going to measure it. It's so simple and it's so easy to skip, isn't it?
Yes, and we often see it skip. And so when we're starting projects, it's like, how are we going to measure it? They give me blank stares. Okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah, we have work to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it guides so many pieces of the outcome and so many of the decisions in the project. So it's a double-edged sword too. So you need to be careful what you're measuring. But if you're not sure, it's like anything, any road will take you there if you don't know where you're going. Making sure that you're clear on that problem statement, what success looks like, how you're going to get there. That's beautiful. It's such a simple step, but beginning with the end in mind. Mr. Covey, thank you very much for making it so simple. So, I'm thinking about some folks that are listening, some folks that are watching. Can you share some stories? Because, humans just relate to stories. Can you share a couple of stories of ways that you've seen things happen in a project and they could start kind of funny or maybe without a little bit of the right help or the right way of working with folks? They've been either they've gone off the rails and they need to be fixed, or they've been caught before they went off the rails, where something could have been built that just replaced, like, here's my paper form and I need a digital form, and hey, look, I got all the same boxes and now I have to type it instead of handwrite it. It's not exactly innovative. It's so often, but can you share a couple of stories with us about what that looks like?
Yeah, we talk about defining success, but I think the other really critical piece as part of that is the end users. So when you're looking at a successful project, you need adoption of that solution. If you implement a solution and the end users aren't using it, it's also not going to be successful.
So don't give away the secret crate yet. Save that secret to the very end. But what are a few stories of how you've seen adoption either totally miss or maybe some ideas of, like, if you just ask the business what are your requirements, which happens entirely too often, where that would go totally off the rails if that was the way that the project was written up and follow all the requirements. There's one story around, like, at step 2, I need a print button, and it's such a beautiful story. Can you share a couple of those?
Yeah, for sure. I think and you've heard me tell this before with the print button, is customer in their requirements, exactly that. Step 4, I need a print button. Okay, so you're looking at step 4. Why do you need a print button? Well, I need a print button so I can have that number so I can enter it into step 6. And did you know that we don't do that. We can completely eliminate. So I think it's if you just go through the requirements and follow them to a T, that's also, let's try and think of different ways of doing things. Let's skip steps 5 through 7 so that that we can get to that solution
Asking
faster.
asking why, asking good questions. And what was it? There was something, there was an emotion there. Like it's often the emotions that get in the way of people kind of letting go of the way they've always done things. What emotion did you run into there that really got in the way of those team members that didn't want to let go of printing? What happened there? That was a
Well,
visceral emotion that was in the way there, wasn't it?
yeah, I think this is the way it needs to be done. This is the way we've always done it. So that opposition to change and not thinking about how we could do something differently.
Because somebody was going to come and check to make sure that she printed it. What if they come to check to see that it was printed and I didn't print it? Oh my God. That's a scary thing for some people, isn't it? And this fear that it's in so many organizations, it's not safe enough to actually say out loud, I'm scared that somebody's going to come and check and find out that I didn't print it. So I'm not going to let us go down that road. I'm just going to say, no, I need my print button.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that's something often we see even in safety projects. Well, there absolutely needs to be regulations, don't get me wrong, and follow processes. But how can we make that better?
Absolutely.
How can we streamline some of those processes to focus really, on safety?
Yeah, it's like so many of the regulations say that you need to keep records, but they don't exactly say how. So you got some flexibility in how you do that. And
Hmm.
digital records are fair game for so many of those things now. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
If we think about kind of a miss where you can think of an organization that underwent a big project, I think there's one that's on my mind. You're probably thinking about the same one. Big organization had a big multi-year program, hundreds of people, and there's something in one of the groups where there was a change made, and it was it was a bit of a miss. Can you share a little bit about that and what it felt like afterwards and how that ended up needing to be done? Because if it's not done right, you got to do it later. Can you
Yeah.
share a little bit about that?
Yeah. As you said, it was a big multi-year project. And one of the big things, they were implementing a new solution and it was going to result in all of these cost savings. And as they were rolling it out, they didn't look at the processes that the people that were actually doing the job needed to follow. So they rolled a solution out. And what happened? 6 people had to get hired in order to do the same job because they never actually talked to the people doing the job in the first place and understanding what is it that they needed to do? How did they need to accomplish it? So think about the consequences. Here you've got a solution you're rolling out. It's going to save all of this money, but they didn't
Yeah,
actually talk to the people. And it ended up costing them money in the long run. And then what did they do? And then at first they kept throwing, little point solutions trying to fix it. Well, I'm going to plug the hole here. I'm going to plug the hole here.
and they
We're
start
actually
stacking
taking,
band-aids on duct tape on band-aids on duct tape.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's almost okay, we take a step back. Let's look at the process
yeah.
and what needs to get solved. What's causing the problem? Because if you're trying to fix again, step 5 down here, but step 1 is causing the problem or some of that pre-setup,
Yeah.
and then the downstream impacts that it has.
Stopping and asking what problem are we solving and how do we know it's successful. And sometimes the
Yeah.
macro level works out overall, but then there's pockets in these really big projects that are run by these really big organizations that they kind of skip over something, and then there's sometimes a little bit of cleanup work that needs to get ironed out.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you were able to help them to iron that out and automate some of that. I what I wanted to wrap up with is there's one or two things that leaders can do to ensure success of their projects during the project and early in the project. And it's so common sense, but it's so often missed because it's hard. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing. The cost of insurance and the paperwork to take out insurance on your house is pain in the rear. But I'll tell you, if you were in a region that had some sort of natural disaster and you didn't have home insurance, you sure wish you took a few minutes to go do it. When you're looking at projects and investments that companies are making, what would you say is the number one or number two thing that people can do early in a project that can help protect that investment?
I think in addition to making sure your success criteria are well defined, is involving the end users. I spoke a little bit about this, but I think often I hear, oh, I can't talk to the end users, whether it's internal, if it's external, if it's a customer, if it's a vendor. No, they don't want to get involved. And I've yet to experience an end user, a customer, or a vendor that isn't thrilled to be asked for their involvement in a project. It doesn't need to be big, but validating, hey, here's the end solution. What do you think? Getting the hands on the keyboard and looking at a mock-up, I don't know, asking about requirements. It can be so, it can vary, but I think making sure that they're involved early, really understanding the problem from their perspective, and then testing that will just leaps and bounds make a huge difference in any project.
Testing, iterating, getting the perspective of the people that are really going to use it. So often organizations end up building things in a way that somebody knows better, or there's a process optimization group, or there's some other people in the way, and that broken game of telephone sometimes misses out some really important things. One of my favorite stories around that is the idea that for this one group of folks, at one end of the spectrum, some of them needed to deal with alligators as part of their daily job. And at the other end of the spectrum, they needed to deal with -40, which is the same in Celsius and Fahrenheit for anyone that's wondering. It's just really cold. And when you've got that range of different experiences, if you don't talk to them, it's really hard to imagine. And sometimes people in headquarters or as part of project teams sitting in nice, comfortable, warm offices, air conditioned or heated, can miss that. So I really appreciate it, Alissa. Thank you so much for sharing some just simple, common sense things that are so often missed. Sometimes back to basics is the name of the game. Alissa, thank you so much for coming and sharing today, and hope all of you can join for the next episode. Just click the link below and subscribe, or hope you enjoyed the episode. Let us know what you liked about it. If you've got a topic that's on your mind, let us know. We'd love to help you with it. Thanks so much, everyone.